first thing I'll ask is there anybody here that is not at all familiar with Field Day? Doesn't know what it's all about or anything else about us? Okay. All right. Field Day is an event put on by ARRL. It happens once a year, and it's always the last weekend in June. And its purpose is to show people and demonstrate, a lot of times to the public, because some of these stations are set up in Walmart parking lots and parks and all kinds of different places. And if the public is available for that, there's usually a table set up by the group putting it on with information regarding what Field Day is all about or the local club that's putting it on. So what it really amounts to is a demonstration of being able to put up antennas, utilize radios, using emergency power, batteries, generators, solar power, whatever. In the event that everything else is down, amateur radio can provide the communications necessary to anybody that may need it. Could be a hospital, could be police, could be individuals that have a problem, medical. Anyway, that's what it's all about. And
can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
The white PJ, somebody left the lights on? The white Jeep? It's all right, just snake it. Carry on.
okay, anyway, that's what it is. It's a 24-hour event, and it starts at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon and goes 24 hours until 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. That's the purpose. The purpose of the whole thing when you get set up and on the air is to work as many stations as you can in a 24-hour period. So, in our case, I was a Field Day chairman for SPARC for about 10 years, especially out at Bay Pines. We used to set up outside and behind Bay Pines Hospital, out in the open. And that was probably, we did Field Day there, I'd say at least 10 years. And of course it had problems. It rained and we got rained on, and wind blew our stuff around, and we had lightning, and we had to stop, and we had to clean up and start over again, but it was a lot of fun. Then we did a couple of years of Field Day right at our present station location and former meeting place at DMI, up off of 66th Street, and that was a lot of fun. We had the radios inside. We set up temporary antennas. We did not use the antennas connected to our station, and we had emergency power, generators, batteries, etc. And that worked out very nice. So several years, I guess maybe, I think this is about the third year, SPARC has joined with the St. Petersburg, with the Clearwater Amateur Radio Society and the Upper Pinellas Amateur Radio Club. So there's 3 clubs involved this year, the same as it was in the last couple of years, and they meet at a fire department training center on North Belcher. And information about this and a sign-up sheet is on the SPARC website. That was courtesy of NY4I. So setup is going to be starting between 8 and 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, and they'll need people to do that. Let me stop here and ask how many people here have any plans to participate in Field Day?
Welcome to the ARRL webcast tour of W1AW. We're happy to have you visit and hope to show you around. The property is located on Main Street in Newington, Connecticut, just a little south of Hartford. This is the first view most folks have as they arrive at our facilities. W1AW has been here since the mid-1930s. Here, the main building, the towers, and W1AW are located in a quiet neighborhood. Because it's out front, a few people think that W1AW is the main building. But the real main building, built in the 1960s, is much larger and sets further back off the road. W1AW is the flagship station of the ARRL, and its call sign comes from Hiram Percy Maxim, the old man himself. We have 4 towers. Our main antenna is 120 feet tall and carries 20 and 40 meter beams. There's also a tower for satellite communications. But even with 4 towers, space is tight to accomplish all that we want to do. W1AW is open weekday to visitors, and tours are conducted daily. And if you're a licensed radio amateur, you can even operate from W1AW, but you'd better expect a pileup, as it's a popular contact. So let's join Geoff Fox, K1GF, and go inside to meet station manager Joe Carcia, NJ1Q, and see what's happening.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to W1AW and the ARRL, the American Radio Relay League. I'm Geoff Fox, K1GF. If you have never been to W1AW, then this is going to be a great day for you. W1AW is basically the mecca of ham radio. It is certainly the most well-known set of call letters in the world. It's a station that is heard all across the world. And you'll see why in a couple of moments. We're going to take you on a tour, let you see everything you need to know. And to do that, we need this guy. This is Joe Carcia, who's NJ1Q, and you are the station manager. This is your baby, right?
This is my baby, yes. Yes, as station manager, chief cook and bottle washer, I'm responsible for not only the physical plant, but also all the broadcast side of it, all the transmissions, as well as all the visitor operations that take place from here as well.
All right, I know we have a lot to see, a lot to show everybody, and let me tell you this. If you have never operated a really well-equipped station, you're going to be very impressed by what's here. But let's talk a little bit about the past, because there is a little bit in the way of a museum here at W1AW.
Yes, there is. Generally, the parts that we have here were used at the original station, which is actually located about 5 miles to the north of us. And there are also some pieces that are just indicative of the time for amateur radio. Now, we have them on display here, but they're only part of the actual museum. In addition to these pieces, we also have Old Betsy, which is
a real spark gap transmitter?
This is a real spark gap transmitter. We would apply a high voltage through the key, it would spin, it would arc at the points, and of course would be in tune with the Morse code right through here. And this was used by Hiram Percy Maxim up until the early 20s.
All right, shall we go inside and take a look at what's going on there? All right, so not only is W1AW a regular ham radio station, obviously, but it's also a broadcast station. In fact, I learned Morse code, CW, by listening to the W1AW broadcast. I know a lot of people listen to the bulletins and all the other information, and that comes from this rack. Joe, but just before you get started, anyone who's a ham radio operator knows we're not allowed to broadcast. And yet this is a broadcast station.
Yes, we are not allowed to broadcast. As amateurs, we cannot do that. However, there is a special rule that was written for W1AW by the FCC, which allows us to do this. Now, there's certain rules within that rule that we have to follow. For example, we must be on a minimum of 6 HF and medium frequency bands simultaneously in order to abide by this rule. We also have to provide a minimum of 41 hours a week of code practice bulletin transmissions and be on frequency at the time and date that we specify. I cannot just arbitrarily come on frequency. If I do, I'm now in violation of that rule. I also cannot just arbitrarily change frequency without giving 30 days notice, or I'll be in violation of the rule.
So when you see the schedule in QST or when you get it online, that is locked in.
That is locked in,
If
yes.
you want code practice, if you want to copy the bulletins, they're there for you and they're dependable.
Correct. We will be on that frequency at that time.
And this is typical commercial ham radio equipment. This is not special industrial equipment, right?
It is not, no. We do have a few pieces left that are commercial grade, which is the original Harris amplifiers. But the rest of it is ICOM equipment, ICOM transmitters and amplifiers, although we have 2 Ameritron amplifiers in service as well.
All right. So if somebody comes here, and by the way, the League and W1AW are located in Newington, Connecticut, not very far from Hartford. If somebody comes here, can they operate?
They can operate from here, not a problem.
And so they can operate with a phenomenal rig, a phenomenal antenna,
Yes.
and a call letter that's going to get you some attention.
Correct, yes, because all operations from here, we can only use W1AW. Visitors can use W1AW, staff can only use W1AW. And you can operate on those bands and modes that are granted by our license class.
All right, so before we go into the studios to show some of the equipment, a couple of questions. Do you have to be a League member to come here and
You
operate?
do not, no. This station is licensed for all amateur radio operators.
Okay, and you have to bring your license with you.
You do have to have a copy of your license with you. We ask that, we reserve that right. However, if you were traveling from, say, California, and you forget your license, but you come here and you really want to operate 1AW, we will look you up just to verify your license.
All right, so let's go inside and take a look. There are actually 3 radio studios in here, each of them equipped with a myriad of gear. Tell us a little bit about what's in Studio 1, Joe.
This is my first studio, and this I consider our contest studio. Reason for that is we have our high-end radios in here. We have an ICOM IC7700, as well as a Yaesu FTDX 9000. And when I say contest, it's generally all the major operating events will be operated from here. Now also, this equipment is used for casual operations as well. And visitors can operate using phone communications, digital, or even CW. In fact, I actually enjoy it when visitors come in here and operate CW.
And I have to tell you, I love coming in here to operate CW. It's a great station, and let me tell you, if you've never had a pileup come back to you, come here, and lots of times you get a pileup come back to you.
Yes, because we're normally not on CW, and that's only because a lot of the visitors just do not wish to operate. So when we do operate on CW, we have the pileups because they hear 1AW, that we're operating CW, we're operating with high power monoband antennas, so we definitely get the word out, as it were. So when we do operate CW, generally there are pileups on the other end.
And I know that W1AW QSL is 100%,
We
right?
QSL 100%, yes. We also use Logbook of the World 100%.
And I found this funny. A couple of years ago I came here, and I've been licensed since I was, like 16 years old. And we found in the log and the QSL from when I had spoken, I don't want to say how long ago, but it was not
It was
recent.
a few years back, yes.
But you save all the
We
QSLs,
save
all the
Q-
logs?
Yes, we save all the logs, all the QSL cards. Now, we do give out some of the QSL cards as samples to students, usually for science fairs, whatever, but we never discard them. We keep every QSL card that we receive.
All right, shall we go to studio
Sure.
number 2?
Second studio?
Yep. Now this one's a little bit smaller, right, Joe?
Yes, it is. Now, in this studio, I have equipment for visitors to operate satellite as well as HF. The satellite side, we use an ICOM IC9100. We track the satellites using either Nova for Windows or Orbitron, and of course, these programs control the satellites. So the operator pretty much just sets it to the satellite they want, and it tracks it automatically for them. Now, we also run a WinLink 2000 enormous packet node in here. So amateurs who are involved in the WinLink 2000 system can connect to us and use us to transmit and receive email over RF.
Okay, and this is cool. This is a software radio, right?
This is a software-defined radio system. This is the Flex 5000A. Essentially, this is the transmitter. It is a box that is attached to a computer. We've hooked up the keyboard and the mouse and the monitor. The antenna connections go to the box. The software interface is used to control the radio. All the functions of it are pretty much the click of a mouse. Right now I actually have it on 10 meters. We're monitoring one of the operators there, and you can see the audio level rise and fall with their signal. And
right.
this can be considered the future because it is all software defined. Everything is done in the box.
All right, should we go to number 3 now?
Number 3.
All right, come on. And we have, as it turns out, a couple of operators in there right now. There is actually a RIDI contest this afternoon and some other operating going on. But this is number 3, and this is really, you use this mostly for contests?
Contests, but generally for visitor operations. Now we have for visitors a Kenwood 590, a Yaesu FT 5000, and the 756 Pro 2. Right now we're operating on 10 meters, just making contacts. 10 recently has been very active, so when I can get visitors on, I will throw them on 10 meters.
Now, how often do you get visitors? Every day?
Yes and no. It is seasonal. I mean, right now we're in the middle of winter, so we do not see a lot of visitors. We begin to see visitors as spring comes on, and of course in the summertime we're very busy.
All right. So come on out here and let's talk a little bit about if somebody wants to come and operate W1AW. Just drive up and say hello?
Pretty much, yes. It's first come, first served. You do not need to make a reservation. The only time I do ask for reservations if it's large groups coming in to operate. When I get large groups in, generally these studios are filled. So if I know ahead of time, I can get everything set up for them. They can come in here, I can plant them on, they can just start operating W1AW.
All right. Now, obviously, you know, this is a huge commitment on behalf of the league, and so there is a fund set up to help support W1AW. You can see more about that by going to the league's website to arrl.org, arrl.org, and there you can look at the W1AW fund. Contributions there not only help to buy equipment, but also maintain the equipment that we have here, and also maintain this building, which is separate from the ARRL headquarters, and is not the newest of all buildings, though it looks great inside.
Yeah, it isn't. I mean, this building was built and completed in 1938. It was inaugurated on Hiram's birthday, September 2nd, 1938, to maintain the station operations for W1AW and ARRL headquarters as well.
All right, now I know a lot of you are watching this live on Sunday, and we're thrilled that you're here with us. But when we're done, we're also going to take a version of this and make it on demand, so you can watch it or you can show it to people.
Correct,
at
yes.
any time. Mm-hmm. We would very much like it if you showed it to members of your club or to friends or family who might be interested in ham radio. You know, ham radio is a hobby that has been around, good Lord, since there have been radios.
Pretty much, yes.
And yet it is thriving and vibrant and technologically breaking through even today with all sorts of new modes all the time, all sorts of incredible digital modes that never existed before,
yes.
And the ability to operate via satellite. And pretty much, if you want to know about digital communications, if you want to get ahead of the game, ham radio is still where it's at. This is still where many breakthroughs are being made.
Yes, they are.
So thank you so much for joining us. Oh, let's come back.
One more station.
place.
Come
Yeah.
on, one more station.
I almost said goodbye too soon. Come on in.
That must be the flub that we were so concerned about. This is what we consider our digital station. We run D-Star radios here, the ICOM ID1 and the IC2820. We use these to connect to the W1HQ D-Star repeater system, which is in operation in the ARRL laboratory. We have capabilities to operate on 23 centimeters, 2 and 70 centimeters as well. We also run our Mars station from here as well, and we have Echolink. Now, W1AW runs an Echolink conference server. This allows amateurs who are using Echolink to connect to our server to listen to all of our CW and digital transmissions. You have it here right now. We're actually connected to our system, and there are 2 hams in addition to us who are connected right now, probably wondering where the transmissions are, but we're not on frequency right now.
All right. And people can listen to code practice and to the bulletins and all those things?
Yes, it's done in real time. So in other words, this runs according to our particular
So
schedule.
if you go to ARRL.org, or if you check your copy of QST and look for the operating schedule, whatever it is there, you can find it via Echolink.
Correct, yes. It will say the conference server name, which is W1AW BDCT. If you use Echolink, you'll probably see there are 2 instances of our call sign. You do not want to connect to W1AW, you want to connect to W1AW BDCT.
Okay. And finally, when I came here, there's a radio I had never seen before. And it just, this just looks so mysterious. This is a Rohde and Schwartz.
This is a
This is
Rhodian
new
Schwartz
on me.
HF transceiver. It's often been called a spectral analyzer with an antenna. And this was a radio that was designed by Rhodian Schwartz to be used by government agencies for listening on other frequencies. We'll just put it that way. The issue they had,
And it's built, by the way,
And
like
it's-
a brick. I mean, this is
correct.
a
This
this
is
is
a-
one solid radio.
yes, it is. It's a very solid radio. It's an extremely sensitive radio as well. In fact, although you may not be able to catch it, but there's actually sensitive settings here that we use within this radio. I mean, this is a very, very sturdy radio. It's a very sensitive radio, and it's here for visitors if they want to play with it. It's normally not part of the complement, but we do have an antenna that can be used, and it's here for visitors. Now, there's an interesting story with this radio, and that this was built for the government, for monitoring purposes, we'll put it that way. The operators were not able to properly tune it. So Dr. Odie there installed a tuning knob right over the speaker
So
grid.
this was not an original
This
part
was
of the
not
equipment.
an original part, no. And this allowed the unit to be tuned. Well, eventually it fell out of favor, or they just felt they couldn't use it anymore. So this particular radio was put up on eBay, and Dr. Odie purchased this and donated it back to ARL for our use here.
All right. So you have now been to W1AW via video, but we really would like you to come and visit W1AW in person. This is the kind of trip, if you're a ham radio operator, if you've been interested in ham radio for any length of time, you really need to come here. There is something very special in walking through the doors and coming to the station and understanding the history behind it and the really the inherent respect for everything that ham radio stands for. Because though there is one hobby, ham radio, it's really a myriad of hobbies. You know, there are people who are interested in contesting and CW and RIDI and digital modes and satellite and emergency communications. And we're all sort of separate and we're all sort of together.
Yes,
but
we are.
this building is where it really all does come together. And until you've been here, you really don't know how it feels. It just really is special.
Yes,
Joe,
it is.
thank you so much for
You're
the
welcome.
tour.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate you being with us. This is Joe Carcia. He's NJ1Q. I'm Geoff Fox. I'm K1GF 73. We'll see you around.
73.